Innovation is in our veins. Soon the whole world will know our names. Sharing our knowledge and freedom reign. We here for the people, you know it's our way. Setting foundations is part of the dream. It doesn't matter if you're new to the game. Listen up now, cause we all gon' say, elevate, 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 higher, elevate, 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 higher. We gon' rise up, we all gon' shine. Work through adversity, stay on the grind. Elevate, elevate, this is our time. Elevate, elevate.
Welcome to the Elevate Podcast, everyone. It's so great to have you all on one more time. It's your boy, Josh
Dalton.
And we're grateful to be back on with you yet again.
On the right side of the table.
And I'm back.
Dude.
Feels good to be back. I missed all of y'all. You guys mean so much to me. Just going through a lot in my own life and take a bit of a break, take a bit of a breather. In the process, I have no idea what's going on in the world, aside from what mainstream media tells me, because that's kind of where I was in the world. So, I just see that banks failed, but it's not really the government's fault. It's okay. That's what I understood. And so don't sweat it. Don't worry what the banks are doing.
Yeah.
I also understood that the government just blamed a bunch of the airlines for clogging up the airports. So that's kind of what I've been seeing lately.
Yeah, dude. To touch on the part there about banks failing, there was a pilot who was speaking on TikTok, and he said the last time I ever saw so many private jets in the air was in 2008. And just yesterday, I believe, Biden announced he was firing most execs of some sort of bank, something or other. And he called in all the top execs of pretty much every bank in America. And there was a bunch of private jets landing into Washington. And so I just think it's funny that, that pilot said, I've been flying for 30 some odd years. And the last time I remember something like this was 2008. Maybe it's a coincidence, but just interesting.
True.
Just like those other little factors you wouldn't think would be affected.
Yeah, definitely from I've been back maybe a day at this point and kind of checking with everything that's going on.
Yeah.
Starting to understand that there's something big at hand. It's kind of stuff we've been talking about on the show for a long time, is this might be the start of the ushering of the CBDCs coming in.
Yeah, man, this is it's too perfect.
Yeah, central bank digital currency, programmable money.
Yeah, and just before the show, we were talking about those changes TD's made to so it's not their digital currency, and it's more so, I would say, related to digital ID, more so than digital currency, because it's, them making judgments on your behalf on what you can and can't spend your money on and how much you can spend of it, as part of their standard cardholder agreement. So it's like if you continue to spend money on your TD Access card, you're agreeing. And so that's interesting. For sure.
Yeah, was that just did that update come kind of when you're kind of say signing into the TD website and there's we have an update to our agreement?
Everyone I think received an email. So they received an email that said, your terms of use or your terms of service agreement has updated. Because I think, these agreements by default, they're not something you inherently sign off on. It just means that if you wish to continue, that's what it will mean. So if you can discontinue service and it won't affect you.
Gotcha. So you said you received one of these agreements, did you? Or do you
No, I actually don't have anything with TD. It's one of the few banks I don't have a single thing with. But I think my folks do bank with TD. They didn't at least report anything to me. I think it's maybe rolling out slowly, or it may just be in certain service areas, because everything I saw was just news articles about it. It was just, Okay. So I don't have any firsthand experience with TD.
Right.
But, if you have multiple products with a bank and this is a boundary or a hard no for you, it's a tough switch.
Yeah. Time to start looking at your service agreements, see what
they say, see what they mean. If you're on a computer, you can Command F on Mac, Control F on a PC to find words. It'd be interesting to just, go in and search the word digital, start searching for central, those keywords of these topics we talk about, digital ID, centralized currency, search those agreements to see what comes up for those keywords, and if there's something in those agreements that maybe don't align with what you want for your money, it's a good time. Get out before it's all on, if you're of the opinion that it will all become under one thumb, get out before it's on the way to being under that thumb, sort of thing.
Right.
It's easier to get cash out now than when it's already here.
Right.
You know?
So you said this agreement came in. I remember we talked about before the show, there was a couple things that kind of stood out to you from the agreements. What were they?
Yeah. So the main one that I would say that like got me was that they'll be able to dictate your transaction limits and the vendors at which those transactions can take place on their own. Like as in it's not like AI thinking it's fraud or, something that may be helpful. It's completely arbitrary. We can decide without giving you notice where you can spend your money and how much of it you can spend. And essentially we can change your account type. We can change your, when you hit checking on your card and it goes to, that designates to a certain account number. They can make those changes now, sort of on the fly as needed to quote unquote protect you. That's how they're going to frame it, of course, to protect you and better serve you. But to allow them to better protect and serve you, you are handing over control.
Right. So there's some words that were dropped there, some ideas that were dropped that's very similar to things that we talked about when it came to central bank digital currencies. And that was, again, programmable money where, they can dictate, a government can dictate how much of your money you can spend, where you can spend it. Is it going to be towards, you can only spend X amount of money towards leisurely activities. You can only spend X amount of money towards this specific food, this so on. You can only have this much for McDonald's. Like essentially it's going to be a built-in budgeting system that the government's going to do for you. That's kind of, at first when you listen to shows like this, it can sound like we're fear-mongering. Oh my gosh, government's going to take over. In some ways that's what they're doing, yes. But they're gently doing it so you can agree to it. And
I propose the question to people who maybe have that opinion of us is, as a citizen of the country, if they were to come out one day and say, all at once, all your money is under our control under this new currency that's not even real, and that's the only way you can spend Canadian money, would you agree? Do you think that's a really good way to sell something? Of course not. So they have to tease it, And is this TD like the prequel to the government's teasing, where it's like we'll slowly get the banks to start using this verbiage, get people familiar with what some sort of digital control may look like, so it's not so jarring when we release a CBDC. People are kind of familiar with what that looks like because it's incorporated into the retail banks. Is that what's going on? I don't know. Obviously, this just came out and only TD, so there's still 4 or 5 other banks that haven't put out anything like this, but they're all kind of the same.
Yeah. We know how many banks kind of shut people down and took away their funds when the government was doing something they didn't like.
Right. So, dude, great point. Don't forget that the government can tell banks what to do. Yeah. They've done it.
In some ways, like especially in this country, the government has all their fingerprints over all of our banks. They can kind of do. Banks have to do exactly what the government says. So when it comes to start instituting something like CBDC, this is where things can go. And so like you said, TD kind of starts teasing this whole digital ID idea.
Yep.
Where it's like we're going to dictate where you can spend your money, how much you can spend, your account types.
Yep.
This is the start of that.
Yeah. I think something else is interesting as well that I sometimes forget is, I bank with multiple different institutions. One thing I was starting to do my income taxes. And so I logged into my CRA. 2 points I want to make about that is, number one, you can log in through any, what they call sign-in partner, which is just a Canadian bank. Meaning, and this is what I always forget, they have my SIN. And that's the information that's passed to the CR website. It's my social insurance number. And so no matter really where you're banking with, the government, to open a bank account, you have to have a SIN if you're a Canadian citizen, right? They know anyway. Like that those reports can be pulled if they needed to be pulled. I have a little number in every system that's the same, right? So, for the government in terms of tracking our money is not a relatively new concept. It's just not very streamlined maybe right now. It's not very public either. But the second point I wanted to make was a new sign-in partner was added, option 3, straight up Alberta Digital ID. Was the straight up the login option on the CR website. So the verbiage has made it to public-facing government websites.
Wow.
Yeah.
Dude, that's crazy.
Yeah, CRA My Account login, swoop, Alberta Digital ID, and BC Services Card.
Well, I guess you're not. I guess Alberta's no longer safe.
Well, didn't they agree to it? We talked about that 2 shows ago, didn't we?
We
signed on.
We never talked about it on a show. We talked about it offline.
Oh, did we?
Yeah, because I remember you brought it up of that they agreed to some type of digital ID is what you brought up.
Yeah.
I just couldn't find any proof of it.
Oh.
What I saw was them agreeing to receiving funds from the federal government for healthcare. That's what I saw they signed on to. I didn't see anything about digital ID though.
Yeah, so this is what kind of prompted me to mention that again was it unless Alberta Digital ID is a standalone product that just is a coincidental name.
Right.
It said Alberta Digital ID. Yeah.
It's getting interesting.
Yeah.
Well, so I love that we kind of bring in that. We talk about that because of what happened with Silicon Valley Bank and everything that kind of has been defaulting, banks closing.
Yeah, man.
Just this today, it was UBI. Can't remember the bank's name.
Yeah, their stock fell 49%. Is that what it was?
No, I was thinking about there's a huge bank. I'm pretty sure it's UBS that just bought out Credit Suisse.
Dude, apparently Swiss Bank has been in trouble.
Yeah, they're
under wraps.
Yeah. There's been a lot of stuff shenanigans going on behind the scenes. But even after all this, like they're failing. They've been around for I think I saw 160 years, and they just got bought out by UBS.
When you think of like the wealthy aristocrat or business person, where do they like? For some reason, they're tied to Switzerland, right? Like there's money in Switzerland, right? So I think that has serious ramifications.
Yeah, that's
you have
it.
the name?
New York Times. Yep. It says, breaking news, Switzerland is close to announcing a deal for UBS to buy its smaller rival Credit Suisse for about $1 billion. The takeover of Credit Suisse is the most consequential fallout to date from the turmoil following the Silicon Valley Bank's failure.
Dude, that's troubling news.
Yeah.
You know, when banks start. Because, I mean, really, let's look at 2010 to now, 13 years. I admittedly was quite young for a portion of that, but regardless, I don't remember any major news about banks failing in the last 13 years.
Right.
Beyond 2008 sort of thing, right? So it's like, it's hard not to feel like 2008 when you look at home prices, interest rates, now banks failing completely overnight, as in like everything was gone. But then there's still an aspect of like shady stuff going on because the Friday night before SVB went bankrupt on Monday, they paid out bonuses.
Yep.
With the little money they had left.
They always do.
Dude, just like Sears.
Yep.
So when Sears closed, they loaded the top up and then they cut everyone's pension at the bottom.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was, I knew something was going on because it happened with my workplace where I got a message on a Saturday, Slack message was sent to the company.
Oh.
You know, just kind of telling the company what's going on with SVB, they just went bankrupt, or they failed, whatever the terminology you want to use there.
Yeah.
I could be wrong in terms of the correct terminology to use. But essentially, they
failed.
They failed.
Yeah.
And, and they were just kind of filling us in what's going on in terms of the funds of the company, this, that, the other. Mm-hmm. But I had no idea what the heck he was talking about. I was like, SVB, whatever. And I kind of was reading up on it over the weekend. Yeah. And then everyone on that Sunday before the Monday hit, I was reading where people were just like, everything's going to crash tomorrow, everything's going down, this, that, the other. And so things crashed, like it did, but not in terms of like a crash where everything just failed at once. But like the government kind of stepped in and is just slowly subsidizing, slowly trying to like push kick the can down the road a little further. But what's been happening since that all happened is I'm seeing a domino is falling every day. Something is going on because of what happened with SVB.
Yeah,
something new is failing.
You made a good point. They're kicking the can down the road. How long can the government subsidize this bank, which then eventually fails? So then another bank has to do something about it, or the government has to do something about it. How long until there's no one available to do something? Like that's when it just all crashes, right? When there's no one left to do anything about it. Mm-hmm. How long do we have?
Yeah. It's
like these banks are failing with billions of dollars of assets owed to clients.
It's only a matter of time.
Yeah.
It happened with, this has been the thing since 2008. like government just puts a bunch of money into the economy, kick the can down the road. Life's good for 10 years.
Mind you, money that's worth nothing.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely worth nothing.
Worth nothing. Not even the paper it's printed on at this point.
And that's kind of that's been the theme with government, specifically the American government, because they essentially run things.
Yeah.
And that's what we're seeing. And so we're even seeing now with even China, where they are making their push right now. They're making their push to try and take over as the number one superpower in the world.
Yeah.
But their time is limited. We've talked about them a lot on the show.
Mm-hmm.
They're limited because their finances are a little janked up as well. And they might have about 10 years left to try and do what they're trying to do, or they're going to get set back to the Stone Ages themselves.
Right.
Things are going on in the world we've been warned about. I think COVID was the start of it, and we're just kind of now riding out what that's all going to be. Because I'm curious, because they can't keep increasing rates. And it looks like from the American standpoint and the Canadian standpoint that they're halting rate increases. Now we'll see what happens, because if you have property now, life's good for you. If you don't have property, I think life's going to get worse for you in terms of being able to attain home ownership, because at some point they can't keep increasing rates forever, because there's a chain domino effect that happens.
Yeah.
If you continue doing that, if you start dropping those rates, prices are going to soar super high, because we keep welcoming all these immigrants who need places to live.
Yeah.
Demand is there. The supply is not, and we're not meeting the supply with the demand.
Yeah.
And I think prices are just going to go crazy again. And when I was back home in Toronto, I went back to my old neighborhood just for kicks, just seeing, man, if I wanted to get back to my neighborhood today, the average price, the low end price for an 800 square foot home, 1,000 square foot home, was going for $1.5 million.
No.
Yeah. If you want a nice home, that was upwards of $4.5 million. And I was like, how much crazier can this get? I'm genuinely interested.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
Yeah, man, it's that's a jarring statistic. It's like you said, a great time to, of course, own real estate. I think there's a few key people who talk about this a lot, like Robert Kiyosaki is like, he will numb you with how much he talks about times like this, and how much he talks about this is where you can make generational wealth. And so, if you have not bought and are in a position to buy, maybe wait, this isn't financial advice, but just look at what the market's doing. Look at what may be coming. Look at trends too. Trends are oddly telling. We seem to exist on this sort of cycle of periods of when to invest, periods of when to sell. And, we're coming into a period of investment, of the time to buy on that scale, on that trend. At least so history would say.
Yeah.
And so, this could be huge for some people, but like you said, if you're already, for lack of better terms, behind the 8 ball on property acquisition, that goalpost is only going to be kicked all the way down to the other end of the field, like completely reverse, Uno reverse, right, sort of thing. So, it's interesting. It's an interesting time. It's
what I've noticed is, so bonds are not performing well right now, which traditionally bonds are supposed to perform well in times like these.
Yeah.
The way they work. So bonds are down, stocks are down.
Yeah.
But baby, crypto is up huge.
Mm.
Because this is how it all works. It's all built on the bank failing. It's all built on the old system failing.
Right.
And that's going to happen. That's what blew me away was, I think Ethereum was at 1950 Canadian.
Yeah.
All this SEV stuff comes out. It's now up $2,500 to $2,500.
Right.
I'm like, gee, everyone's getting out, man. They're starting to see the writing on the wall. People are starting to move out of the old system.
Mm-hmm.
And especially as we talked about with the digital ID, if you really want to make sure no one else is in control of your funds, get out, invest in some type of crypto, which is what I'm starting to do, is get into Bitcoin specifically right now.
Mm-hmm.
Because what happens if you become your own bank? Obviously, Bitcoin's an investment of itself that you're taking a chance on. But the way that things are lined up, I could see essentially governments measuring CBDCs against Bitcoin at some point.
As the gold standard, quote unquote.
Exactly. And so what you can do is if you just hold everything in Bitcoin, over time, you just kind of trade out in case you need to actually buy something with a CBDC, but don't hold your wealth in CBDCs because that's when they have you in a stranglehold for the rest of your life.
Yeah, for example, that's a perfect way to put it because, you know, when the dollar was once backed by gold, you know, holding gold at that time was much more valuable because that was the thing that the money needed to be worth something. So you'd hold that, convert it as you need it, sort of thing. Yeah. And I think the whole reason we're sort of in this right now is because, like we just said earlier, our money is worth nothing. You know, I think we've talked about this numerous times, how our banks are relied on fractional reserve banking, and that the reserve rate in America is down to 0. So they don't need to keep
no reserve banking.
Yeah, it's not fractional reserve banking. It's just banking. Like it's what you want. I don't know what you want to call it. It's just like it's hardly banking, right? And in Canada, I think it's there is still a fraction, right? It is still 8-1, if I'm not mistaken. So or even it might be 9-1. I don't know. I think they can lend it out 9 times. Actually,
that sounds about right.
I think they can lend every dollar out 9 times. And so then you wonder how every bank is over leveraged, especially in America when they have none on hand. And you have people see a bank collapse. It's like, well, millionaires have this sort of mindset where it's like, well, I've got lawyers and a team who will figure this out. My money is not really going to disappear. Like, I'm so powerful that I'll figure it out. It's the homeowner that works a 9-to-5 and has 2 kids that managed to save $30,000 up for their kids' education, for their vacation, for a new home, that sees this frantic news happening, that when they go to the bank are told, we don't have that money, that takes that family out. And because they're already so strapped, working 9-to-5, day to day, perhaps paycheck to paycheck, they don't have the time to fight that fight because they have to continue earning to support their family. So it's, you know, these effects continue to only have strict effects on the working class, in my opinion.
Yeah, dude, it's I'd be curious. Could you hit the 6 month on that? So we're looking at the Bitcoin chart right now. Go to January 2023. Just hover right there. It was at 22,000 Canadian
when it opened this year.
Yeah. Now we're at 38,200 after all this stuff happened.
If you start on January, Philip, and click and drag to now, 70% increase. That's from nice. The beginning of this year.
Yeah.
Dang.
Remember when everyone was telling you, making fun of you for buying Bitcoin?
Were they making fun of me?
Sorry, speaking generalities.
Who?
I was being made fun of for buying Bitcoin. I remember we had guests on who TikTok made fun of them for buying Bitcoin because it dropped so much. They lost so much value. Well, if you bought down at January 20 levels, your portfolio is now up 70%. So
that's pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
That's all I'm going to keep increasing. So.
Yeah, man, it's frightening to see, you know, these cryptocurrencies doing so well. Actually, I shouldn't say it's frightening. It's intriguing because it proves the theories that we've been talking about, especially with our guests, that these systems really take off when the default systems start to fail. And so if the bank's closing, you know, the secret government meetings, you know, the inability to draw large sums of cash isn't enough. When you see these, what I'll call maybe consumer-led systems, like, you know, this is sort of a public system, I'd say, start taking off, because that's where people are turning to. That otherwise, why else would it be performing so well if people weren't trusting it more than a bank?
Right.
And like I said, again, in the last 13 years, when have we really not trusted banks? Like, this is a very new thing within the last 3 months sort of thing.
Yep. Yeah, it was
January, February, March. Yeah, 3 months since January. Yeah.
all this stuff's going down. And
Yeah.
like, you know, and those who have been paying attention, you know this. You knew this was coming. You knew that we couldn't keep lending money out the way we have. We can't keep sending money to Ukraine the way that we have without something.
Dude,
to
did
pay
you
that
see
back.
that with Ukraine?
Oh, which thing?
Oh man! So the world leaders met with Ukraine, and the general consensus was you have to surrender to Russia, make a negotiated deal to end this. And the U.S. said, but we still want to give you money. We still want to fund it. The U.S. was apparently the only one who was like, we'll still fund it. Why? Banks are failing that you're bailing out, and the U.S. is still comfortable with sending money to Ukraine.
Good question.
That's so strange. It makes you think there are bigger cards on the table that we don't know about.
Yeah, it's with things going on even within our own country, with, you know, the Trudeau investigations.
Yeah.
So you have, what I have known, what I've been learning is this week hasn't been a good one for me. Because I'm starting to see what's happening with Trudeau up here and the investigations that are taking place.
Right.
Obviously I know Jagmeet is in on it with him. I don't trust Polyev as far as I can throw him. I don't really trust any government official at this point.
Right.
That then flip over to what's going on in the States right now, where there's a threat to arrest Trump.
Oh, yeah.
For whatever it is. Whatever it is you think right or wrong. The fact that our officials are getting absolutely lambasted by the law shows us that I think we're at a point of further civil unraveling, which really, on top of the banks failing, it keeps me up at night, I'll be honest.
When authorities have so much time, when the DA of New York City, of Manhattan, has the time to proceed with charges against Trump, when there are way bigger fish to fry in Manhattan right now.
With all the people they let loose.
Tells you about priorities, number one. In Canada, I don't know how much there is to focus on otherwise. I mean, I think, you know, it's just kind of meh here. But again, when there is so much pressure on the prime minister, so that's the equivalent of being the president, to have him investigated for interfering with elections, I would. That's like the worst moral crime you can commit as a leader, and a physical crime as well. So it's like, if the person who truly subscribes to this is the leader of my country, and I am a citizen of this country, and I will align with the Canadian values. If it's broken at the top, the bottom is going to unravel.
Yeah,
it has to. One thing I do want to ask you is your comment about Polyev. Where did that come from?
It stemmed from the issue in general when he came out and denounced the German politician and denounced his MPs from meeting with her, calling her racist, whatever. I didn't really get into the details.
Right.
It just felt like a play. It felt like he was trying to appease. Didn't like that.
Right.
And in general, I know there's been some ties from back in the day where he has some connection to the World Economic Forum. Stephen Harper had those connections. He was really close to Stephen Harper. There's times where he backs off on things a little earlier than I would like him to.
Yeah.
It just feels like he's playing a part.
Yeah, it makes you think a little.
Yeah.
Yeah. Someone commented on a TikTok recently, and it was sort of along the lines of, you know, they're all kind of like, all as in the leaders, Trudeau, Jagmeet, Polyev. They're all sort of the same breed of person. They just all look and talk a little differently. Like, you cannot lose sight of the fact that he's the leader of the opposition for a reason. He played the game the best.
Totally. Yeah, I think that was kind of my biggest wake-up call while I was away. As people who don't know, I was in Toronto. I spent time with family. And I was spending time with very different parts of my family who who aren't on social media, who are a little older, who just watch the news, who some are liberal supporters, others are NDP supporters, some are conservative supporters. The thing that really kind of hit me the hardest was they all had one thing in common. They all hated Trudeau. Liberal supporters hated Trudeau. And that's what has me concerned at this point, where somehow our system continues to prop up this man. How much longer can the people handle this when clearly on paper people are voting for something far different? You had friggin' O'Toole as the option against Trudeau, and he won the popular vote. O'Toole, he's a jabroni. He's terrible.
I know.
And he almost beat Trudeau.
I know.
People have just had enough of this guy.
Yeah.
So how much longer can the Canadian populace keep up with what's going on? And that's what I think scares me just as a citizen of this country moving forward.
Yeah.
Where's the breaking point for people? Because I think we're getting close to it.
So obviously, I mean, I can't pinpoint that breaking point, but what I think what I'm starting to see is there is what I would say pool here of like all Canadians. And then in the center, there's a shrinking core of people that are holding Trudeau up. And so what I think we'll see happen first is, well, what we're seeing now is people who have long supported Justin Trudeau are saying, I hate him. And that is, number one, jarring. I don't expect that dialogue from people who are longtime Trudeau supporters. And it catches me off guard. And I always say, how did you get there? Like, I want to know why you feel that way, because I didn't expect that to come out of your mouth. And it's no hate. I don't care. I'm just curious to learn how someone got to that point of hating him. So then to the second point of this small core of people that's shrinking, holding Trudeau up, the weight of Trudeau is going to get heavier and heavier on these Canadians still holding him up. And these are like these are like the Swifties of Canadian politics, where Trudeau does no wrong. They see no evil in him. They see no evil in what he does. And whether or not that evil exists, of course, that's up to our interpretation. None of it's documented. It's no real evil. It's just what we deem evil. Once that weight on that core group of people is so heavy, it's going to come crashing down. And I think it will be the societal impact will be much greater than what we're seeing right now in terms of division, because these people will have lost everything that they fundamentally believe in. So you're like a lost soul for a little bit. And I think that's a scary place.
Interesting. Yeah, I think you bring up some good points. I think the one part that kind of came up, I think it was in global news, that surprised me seeing this being peddled, was the Liberal Party entertaining the idea if they're going to have Trudeau run again. That was interesting to me.
Like the use of the word entertaining as if there's another option.
Yeah, there's
because you were like, in your mind, were you thinking it's a guarantee he'll run again?
Yeah, that's kind of how politics has always worked.
Yeah,
where it's like, if you're winning, well, we'll continue going with you.
Yes,
until you don't. I don't think I've seen it in my life. I could be wrong. I could be missing a time. Maybe it was Stefan Dion. Can't remember. But there isn't a time where the Liberals, or in general, any politician or any political party had a winning candidate and they decided not to move forward with them.
Right, to swap it for someone else.
Yeah, never seen that.
It's a smart move. Because what was the statement you just made about all those people you saw? They hated who?
Trudeau.
They didn't hate the Liberals.
Right.
Change the face of the Liberals.
Might be a good move.
Yeah.
To switch it to Christopher Freeland.
Yeah.
Not
much better. Dude, did you see her bumbling out in
Hamilton?
Is it? Yeah. She
didn't know where she was.
She didn't even know why she was there. She made some up. She said, I wanted to give you the spotlight of the camera.
Yeah. She said that.
Give me a break. Dude, she's crazy.
Dude, she's far worse than him. That's the crazy part.
Oh. She's she is corrupt. She's trying to buy shares in a company that doesn't exist.
Yeah.
She's trying to purchase she's trying to own part of a company that's not even incorporated, and is fighting the woman, telling her that you can't even do that yet. But she wants billions of dollars to go and do it. That's insane.
The cranked.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's our money. That's our money.
Seriously, and that's the thing that comes to me in general, right? When I talk about Derek Fisher, or Sean
Poor
Fraser.
guy. Poor guy. Oh, not the squad. The boys.
The boys. The Scotian boys. I just, like, if I see them in public, I just can't, I just have no respect for them. I'm like, if you really believed in what was right for your people.
Respect is earned, not given, dog. You don't have to respect them.
I have no respect for these guys.
You just have to be, you just have to be nice to them.
Yeah.
But you don't have to respect them.
Yeah. I'm like, you keep propping up just absolute corruption.
Yeah. So that there's a couple scenarios that go through my head where I'm like, am I wrong? Maybe I'm perceiving it wrong. Maybe it's not corrupt and I'm wrong, which could be an option. Number two is they don't know it's corrupt and they think that it's fine. Maybe they're being tricked or convinced otherwise. Or three, they're getting something from it.
Yeah.
There's no reason to fight the system that's rewarding them.
Yep. That's part of the problem, right?
So it could be any of those options. You know, I'll never know which one it is. We're all sort of people like you and I who talk about these things are sort of operating on our own opinions at times. So who knows?
Who knows is right. I'd like to know. I would like to know
the
if
truth.
I got to see them in person. Why did you vote on Bill C-11? Why did you think that was a good idea?
Yeah. Okay. See, so that's the unique part about seeing someone in person. It's like, I would love to know the answers on why they vote on things that I think are wrong.
Yeah.
To hear their answer. Because sometimes the answer is more telling than just them voting. Mm-hmm. Because if their answer with conviction is, I want to protect Canadian, like if it's something that I think is convincing and truthful, I'd say, okay, well, that doesn't seem malicious. But the issue is every politician's going to answer like a politician. Even if you meet them on the street, they're ready, they're PR trained. Yeah. So it's like, is the answer you're getting out of a politician even the answer that you want? Is it a fulfilling answer? I don't know.
Don't know till you try. As a professor, I had a prof tell me once upon a time. So
Don't know until you try.
Don't know until you try.
Yeah, man, it's interesting. It's a tough time.
Yeah. So, Josh, how do you get through this? You know, how do you live on with your life? Well, this is what I do, fam. I love my loved ones. I prepare for the things the best I can. Mm-hmm. That's why I bought that hardware wallet for my crypto.
Mm-hmm. And meal ready to eats.
Yep, I got my meal ready eats. I'm prepared as best I can at this point. All I need is a weapon.
Yeah, man.
So I can start hunting.
It's true.
That's all I need at this point.
True.
So hook a brother up. Anyone got some stuff? Because apparently when CBDCs get instituted, they definitely will not let you buy guns.
A firearm with that.
It's never going to happen.
Yeah, I'll be honest. Like, I'm thinking I just want to go back to cash. I want to see like
what would happen.
Yeah, well, I want to see how much do I rely on digital banking, like as a test for like my household sort of thing. Like, how much do we as a household rely on digital banking? Like, we pay all our bills through online banking. We receive direct deposit. We move money to different accounts to save, to pay bills. It's like, our money's always in some sort of bank account. And so I wonder, just like leaving a bank account for bills and drawing the rest in cash, what would that do? I wonder.
Well, I mean, I'd be curious what happened when the government starts banning cash. What do you do?
What?
Exactly.
So then I wonder, I think there's two ways they could approach it. And either way, it's going to be what I call a cash buyback, as in you have to exchange your cash at a 1-to-1 ratio for CBDC before this date. Otherwise, your cash will only be exchanged at 0.5. Ooh. Or what they'll say is you have to exchange your cash now and we'll give you 1.5 as CBDC. And if you wait until this date, you'll only get it 1-to-1. They're either going to go with positive reinforcement or negative, but I think there will be a ploy to buy cash back.
I'd agree with that. I never thought about the strategy, but you're onto something there.
That's how I pick, like the gun buyback. That's how I picture it.
Very similar.
Yeah. Like you walk into a Royal Bank, you say, I'm here for a cash buyback, and they write up your little ticket, and they give you like an access code to log into CRA. And it's like a gift. It's like buying like Fortnite V-Bucks. You log in, punch in the code, and it loads your account up.
Shout out the V-Bucks.
Yeah. That's just my assumption. That's my opinion. I don't know. But it seems like if they want cash off the street, that's a pretty good way to get off. It's like either to incentivize or to punish.
I agree. All I know is we are going to continue marking these topics, marking these shows, and when it comes, we're just dropping them as TikToks the day it happens. Dating.
We said.
And it's not even like we're like truth tellers or anything like that, or like fortune tellers. A lot of people are talking about these things.
Yeah.
But their voices are minimized
Totally.
because they're talking about these things.
Brother, I mean, our TikTok died once we started talking about pressing stuff.
True.
It was like they flipped a switch.
That's a good point. Yeah. Now we're here with all of y'all. We've had to be more creative in how we reach y'all. So,
Which is maybe that's a good thing.
I personally like it. Just get the real ones.
Yeah, exactly right. So maybe inherently it's not a bad thing. But I wonder if like everyone went and took out all their spending cash for a month, a week, whatever, took it out, how quickly the Bank of Canada would go, okay, people are upset, we should not do CBDC, or they're taking cash out too quickly, we need it now. I wonder which would happen, because everyone says prove to them that we want cash by doing only cash transactions, and I think that may have negative ramifications. I don't think Justin Trudeau is above punishing us.
Oh,
so it's like, oh, you want all your cash? Well, then we'll just make this happen quicker, so less cash gets taken out, kind of thing. Yeah, that could happen.
I could see that. Where, say that happens, there's a mass cash withdrawal.
Yeah.
The government's like, okay, well, now you can only take out 10% of your money in cash.
Right. And if you bank with TD, that very well could happen. If you're taking too much out, they could pause your ABM limits for that week, month, year, period, whatever.
Yep.
Which, of course, now there are limits on your debit card anyway. Those are protection limits. Those are, if your card's stolen and you don't know, they can't go take all your money out or e-transfer all your money out or something, right?
Yeah.
But to have arbitrary limits set at a moment's notice is a very different game. So that I want to ensure that key difference is explained. Where, yeah, if the CRA goes, whoa, Josh, you took $25,000 out once a day for a week, like, we're gonna stop all ABM withdrawals. No more cash for you. You can only use your debit card. That's not right. That's not fit.
No, but that's the punishment that we've come accustomed to since March of 2020. So
yeah, I mean, we saw it with Convoy. Yep. On moment's notice, they paused everyone's banking account. So there's a button somewhere, obviously under quote unquote extreme circumstances.
Nice one.
They will invoke an act that allows them to do that, but the button is there, and clearly they can pretty well justify anything. In my opinion, I don't think that the Convoy was justifiable for the Emergencies Act. The math isn't mathing for me. But it was the result, and I have to live with it, even if I don't like it. But what that told me was, well, maybe they are good at this. Maybe this was a test. Like, could we get something through this act to see, what will the reaction be? And then I'll say, okay, well, yeah, the reaction was da-da-da-da. These people were mad. These people didn't care. So we're going to incorporate these results into how we release a CBDC. Maybe the fact that they can pause it is not the kicker. Maybe it's the findings they got from that aftermath that are more important.
Yeah, definitely possible.
Yeah.
I have a question for you.
Okay.
Do you have any questions for me?
Dude, I want to know if you were in the position right now where you had, let's say, because we were talking about this earlier, the CDIC, how it only insures up to $250,000, and you're watching all these banks failing right now. Like, what would for someone out there right now, maybe who's concerned, who is thinking banks are failing, should I pull all my money out? Is it safe to keep it in cash? Should I put it in crypto? Like, what are you doing? What would you do?
It's a great question. There's some that we know, people that we know that have done this, and that's they've opened up, different corporate accounts, business accounts.
Right.
And they've just kind of dispersed all their money. And this is people who are wealthy who've done this. There's across 20 different bank accounts, they can kind of make sure that they stay under that $250,000 limit. So make sure that all their earnings are insured. But for the regular person who may only have, maybe they have like $15,000, $10,000, $5,000 in their account, this is the time for me. I know it's a risk, and it's a risk that I'm currently taking myself. Either I keep all my money in the bank and it's insured. I'll see it again.
Yes.
Likely in a different form is my belief. You'll see it again. And that's why for me, I'm not personally taking that risk. So I'm either putting money into that renovation for my kitchen or my bathroom.
Right.
So that I can keep it within the asset, which I don't know if that's good advice or not, but that's one of the things that I would come to mind.
Mm-hmm.
Or two, you just take the chance. You put it into Bitcoin. And, you know, you've been reading, you've been smart, you've been wise, you've seen what's been happening since the past 3 years. You know where this is going. They've told us what they're doing. Maybe you should start taking them up on it and seeing everything fail. Keep your Bitcoin in a hardware wallet. When things fail, assets rise, and then now you're doing pretty good for yourself. Who knows?
You said a couple of things there that I think I want to touch on more.
Mm-hmm.
You said that your money under 250 may be protected, but you may get it back in a different form. So you're meaning that this could be a good in to say, yeah, it's gone, but we're going to replace it with CBDC.
Yeah.
Is that what you mean?
Mm-hmm.
Interesting. So that, of course, is not what you would want whatsoever, because that's not this. You're not getting the same money back, right?
Exactly.
Are you, or you're not really, right?
Getting the same amount back, but you're not getting your autonomy back.
Right. Okay. Fair play. Mm-hmm. Really good point. And then you've made a very strict point in mentioning hardware wallet every time you mention cryptocurrency. For anyone who doesn't know, why is that so crucial? Because for me, who I'm not as into crypto as you, I would just go buy it on one of my apps and just hold it in the app that I bought it on.
Right. Yeah, I think I specify hardware wallet because that's when it means that it's yours. Like you own the asset, you have the key to the blockchain for your money. Mm-hmm. When you kind of own it on an exchange, they hold it for you. So similar to what a bank is doing. The bank is holding the money for you, an exchange is holding the money for you. You can pull it out whenever you want, but there's times where maybe the government is going to go to that exchange saying, you're going to seize those funds or we're going to shut you down. So exchanges are, in some cases, having to play the same games as banks do, whereas they're beholden to the government, not so much to you as a customer.
Right.
And so when we're able to switch over to a hardware wallet, and now it's just it's spooky, don't get me wrong. We, in the 21st century, don't like that. We don't like the idea of insecurity with our money, but it's yours. No one's going to come and digitally take it from you.
Right.
All they can do, and this happened during the convoy, was when one of the protesters when they were seizing funds, had a bunch of Bitcoin on a hardware wallet. All the government can do is they did what they did. They went in with the RCMP, kicked down the guy's door, and took his hard drive with the Bitcoin on it. They physically had to go to this man's house and take it from him.
Bruh. So, wait. So when the convoy happened, the Emergency Act allows them to pause bank accounts, right? Does it give them the right to go into people's home and take stuff, or did they have to get a search warrant for that?
That is a great question. I don't know the specifics of how they actually went about it.
Because they can't just take stuff, right?
They can seize funds that they feel like are aiding a terrorist action. That's a part of the...
Dude, so they consider that enough.
Yeah.
Like little tiny ones and zeros on a USB stick is enough.
Yeah.
Dude, that's crazy.
So that's what I mean by when you have a hardware wallet, like it is yours. Someone has to break into your house to be able to take it from you.
So say you are like loading up a hardware wallet and then you just drop it in like a bank safe. That's like as secure as you can get basically. Or could the banks turn out like, I don't know the rules on bank safes. Like is keeping it in your own safe better? Like, or off site? Like
it's a good question. There are some banks that do
keep yours, but
I'll speak in generalities.
Yeah.
There are some banks that I know, like you just have to read the agreements you have with them when you have a safety deposit box with them.
Right.
Is it yours or is it the bank's property? Those are things you have to read up on yourself. I know some people who do have their own safe and they keep it there.
Yeah.
I'm a huge believer in, just keeping as much control of it as possible, especially in times like these. So, yeah.
Dude, that's insane. I did not know that about the convoy. When I thought that happened, I was under the impression that he was on an exchange that the government asked them to comply.
Yeah.
They stole they stole it.
Stole it from them.
Yeah, they stole it.
It's 6 Bitcoin.
Oh.
Yeah, that's quite a bit of money.
Oh, dude. He had a fair chunk. She had almost $200,000, over $200,000 at the time.
At the time, yeah, because it was worth 75,000 per.
No. Yeah. Canadian? Oh, my gosh, dude.
$500,000. Easy.
Just gone.
Gone. Because the government said so.
So I think we talked about it on the show when I ran into that crypto theft stuff, where they just kind of came in and took it. In a case like this where we're going CBDC, government involvement, in America, Biden's firing bank execs, taking over banks. In Canada, I know that to sign up for an exchange, they need my SIN, I believe, right? Is that all, can the government put pressure on these exchanges? Will they comply?
They have to, yeah. At least the ones that I'm currently involved with, because they do get some government help in case they do fail.
No. Oh.
Yeah. There's not all of them, but there's a couple who are who definitely obey very strict guidelines. And because of that reason, yeah, they have to turn things over immediately.
Dude. That seems like it totally negates the point of what a crypto is, right?
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. Yeah, things aren't safe on exchanges. Especially, we saw what happened last year where, you had the SBF situation happen, Sam Bankman-Fried.
Yeah.
A bunch of crypto exchanges failed because of it. We've been seeing, obviously, a trend over the past year. Went from crypto, now it's in banks. Just own your crap, is what I'm saying. Right now, we joke about it all the time. We subscribe to things. You don't buy your music. You rent your music. Most people don't buy their movies; they rent their movies. Some people subscribe to podcasts. They don't own the podcasts.
Yeah.
There's many things that we've seen throughout time. Some would say that you don't own anything. Are you happy?
Oh my gosh. It's beyond it being a joke, dog, it's kind of true. If I look at my day to day, where it's we still rent. I have Spotify, Netflix, Prime, those sorts of things. Everything you just mentioned is accurate in my life too. Yeah, what do you own? You have maybe some people say they have a vehicle, but if it's financed and banks go belly up and you can't pay, they will take it. You don't outright own it. It's we've gotten used to subsidizing things over long periods of time as well. Even phone plans now, phone plans are.
Your phone itself, yeah,
right, yeah. Your phone service, just because you pay your bill, TELUS could one day say no. What if? Okay, so here's a question: do you see telecommunication providers opting in for digital ID as well? In terms of, you say, how the digital ID and digital currency will sort of connect, and if your digital ID says this, you're not allowed to spend money on this. Will that affect your telecommunications? If you're in certain areas, frequenting certain things, doing certain things, are they going to limit what you can do to communicate to the outside world?
Oh, I'm sure. I'm sure it's a big part of it. How much the government would have loved that power during the convoy, all the press that was getting out. Of course they would.
Wasn't there an issue with Rogers during that? Didn't one of them?
I don't know if it was during the convoy. I remember the whole Rogers shutdown thing. That was interesting.
Yeah.
I don't remember the timing of that again. That was sometime last year.
Yeah.
But yeah, this stuff happens where we have very limited telecommunications in this country. One fails, that affects a lot of things. We saw it with the Rogers situation where just
a third of the country
just blackout, can't pay for anything, can't buy anything. I have one friend of mine who's, he's doing pretty well with his business. He's a business guy through and through. But literally before you get through any pleasantries when you talk to him, his first thing is, do you have any runway? I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, just, do you have cash on hand? So say that communication's just cut out. At least you can trade something for goods.
So you mean like physical again, like $20 bills in your wallet?
That's what he was referring to.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's when we had the talk. I'm like, is it even gonna be worth anything if I did have any runway? You know?
And what did he say?
He's like, you know, he was mainly referring to, he's like, if banks fail, don't know, couldn't tell you. But I'm talking about if the telecommunications failure happens.
Right.
What are you gonna do?
Right.
I was like, that's a good point.
So that is a good point. Mm-hmm. So are you a cash carrier?
I do have some cash in case of that situation happens.
You do?
Enough to like buy, you know, groceries and stuff, yeah.
Right, the important things.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a really good idea, actually.
Can't hurt.
It gets
if it's going to be worthless anyways, well, whatever.
Yeah, at least you don't have too much out.
At least you got some toilet paper.
Yeah, before that's all bought.
Yeah. True.
Yeah, so you see these things now where I guess I don't know if you would call it hoarding, but there's this, I would say throughout the pandemic, there's this hoarding mentality. And so now I'm wondering, like, is that going to start applying to cash? Like, are people now so nervous? Are they going to start pulling cash but not spend it? And what does that what does that action have on the economy by keeping cash and not spending it? Like, that's pretty no bueno, right? Like when there's money and it's not moving around.
Yeah, they don't like that.
Yeah, they don't like that. No. Right. That's pretty bad.
Yeah, that's when the tightening happens, and you know,
right.
We print all this money, but it's not exchanging hands. What do we do?
Right.
Yeah, that's when things stall out, and that's never fun.
So this fractional, like the banking system with which Canada really relies on trading. Mm-hmm. That's what's keeping it afloat. Is money is always moving, so that's why we can print more. More people need more money.
Yeah,
that's the only right. As far as I know, that's the only thing that's really keeping us afloat.
100%.
That's such a fragile system, dude.
Yeah, and they're doing whatever they can to break it. It seems so. We're on the precipice of something. And, but yeah, I know it's a bit of a hard left turn, unless you have another question.
No, do it.
Hard left turn, just to have some positivity to end off on.
Of course.
You brought this up here in Nova Scotia. Cool things are happening.
Dude, I was just going to talk about the money. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Cool.
Yeah. We're on the same wavelength.
Yeah.
I sent it to you before the show, before my way here, I think. It's huge. Well, I'd say it's huge. I think comparatively to really what's going on currently for healthcare, which is Tim Houston announced, I believe, $10,000 per nurse who will sign on to a 2-year agreement, $10K again if they'll re-sign again. And any nurse who left Nova Scotia has until the 31st. So they have 11 days to take that offer up, and they can get the money. And he's also trying to find money for EMTs. That's not approved yet, though. But he's also trying to help out EMTs and like admin staff and, the other people that help make healthcare go. Mm-hmm. So you had some interesting points out there about this being one pillar of fixing healthcare. Can you shed some light on what those other pillars could be? Totally.
I think, as you said, one pillar is financial. Another pillar, and again, I'm not going to take credit for this. This is something that was shared to me by Reg, which I thought was really interesting feedback from his perspective. But over the years, from talking to people who are in the medical field, specifically in the hospitals, back in like 80s, 90s, like it was just a common courtesy that you just had these appreciation days, or you had these like great, awesome like end of year Christmas gatherings, dinners, banquets. But over time, as kind of things started shriveling up economically, you had Nova Scotia Health. Yeah. Head of Nova Scotia Health at the time would come in and be like, well, we're wasting money on banquets. This is stupid. Cut. And so it then became, okay, well, you get like a staff lunch,
a pizza.
Yeah. Once a year type of thing. Back in the day, you'd get a staff lunch every week, or at least you get one staff lunch back in the day. And then that got cut to, okay, you get some pudding once a year type of thing, like
here's some beans.
Yeah. Thank you so much for working in the hospital.
Yeah.
Which we all know, like we talk about it. Well, they're getting paid. Get over it. It's like, well, you're getting paid. That's awesome. But wouldn't it mean a little bit more if you got a little something just to recognize the hard work you're putting in?
Right.
That's kind of what's happening. So right now is things got cut so much, is that it just killed all morale in the hospital system. So yeah, it's great. You're getting paid, but your workplace sucks.
Yeah.
How many people have gotten paid? I know people that were getting paid ridiculous money and they left the job because the workplace was awful. Money's not everything.
Yeah.
So yes, awesome that we're dealing with the financial stipulations of it, but it's also going to be a couple prong approach where they need to figure out ways to kind of reestablish that morale.
Yeah.
Get people being happy to be nurses, being happy to be doctors, being okay with working in this health system. And I think that's kind of where, director of culture comes in.
It's true though.
But it's it is a pretty important role. Tech gets made fun of for it all the time, but it is an important role. So
it's funny you say, tech gets made fun of it for, but a lot of these tech companies have great retention rates as well. Mm-hmm. So I think man, these people are saving lives, right? So I feel like these bosses are using the guilt of like, if you quit, you're going to kill people kind of thing. Like if we lose all our nurses, people will die. So like kind of keep them trapped, like in a way where it's like, this is just the way that we go to work. It's their job too. Like they should like where they work.
Totally. I mean, we're seeing it right now. There's two ways you kind of keep someone employed, right? You give them the carrot or you give them a stick.
Mm.
Right now in tech, there's some scenarios where there's some companies who are running out of money right now.
Yeah.
And they have some really high performing employees.
Mm-hmm.
And some scenarios I've heard of that's been happening where the employee's performing well, but they'll kind of gaslight the employee into saying, we need a little bit more from you, and then kind of threaten to fire them. And then what happens is like, okay, then they know the economy's bad. They're stressed about their job. Then they'll work 10 times harder out of stress out of their job. But like they're doing great in the first place, but the government company kind of framed it in such a way that they're not doing well enough. So we can justify only paying you what we're paying you. And then we're getting more work out of you because now you're worried about your job. Like because the economy is so bad, there's some tech companies out there that are now doing this.
Bro, that's evil.
It's not a nice thing.
That's not nice.
Not at all. So, yeah. So if that stuff happens, obviously in the healthcare system or things like it, it's not a great system. Obviously, we have a government right now who's vowed to try and make things better. They've been making some good moves from what I can see.
Yeah.
But, we've said it a ton of times, like it's not going to happen over one administration, over, one term. It's going to be work that needs to be continued long after the Houston government's in power. Oh. And there's things that need to be resolved. So
he used that stupid word, I'm going to fix healthcare.
Yeah, that was his fault.
That was dumb.
Bad mistake,
dude. Because the comments on this post, like about these new benefits for nurses was like, yeah, this is great, but there's still all these buts. And like, they could have made that tax free. So it's like, yeah, here's $10,000, but you're going to see 7 of it.
Right.
So it's like, you only really got 7, So you could have maybe done more, maybe give them the full $10,000 or, there's always more they could do. But like you said, it's a step in the right direction. Yeah. It's something a little better than yesterday.
Exactly. But yeah, I'm happy that there's something's going on.
Yeah, man. We need it. I mean, we rely on it. Like, it's healthcare.
Yeah.
So
it needs to be fixed.
Yeah, there's no option. We've talked about private healthcare, but I don't think that's going to happen. So this system needs to be fixed.
Mm-hmm. Agreed. Wow.
Yeah, man.
Dang good show, bro.
What a show, man.
It was a pleasure to be back. It felt good. It felt nice. Felt comfortable.
Dude, you didn't even, I thought when I saw you on the weekend, you wanted to talk about the airlines, dog.
Oh.
Dude. You said you were saving it for the show.
Oh, you're right. My bad. I forgot about that. We were on a good vibe when we started the show.
Yeah, man. You didn't want to start with. We'll end with the airline. It was going to want to. It wasn't that deep.
Dude, it wasn't that deep, but it still annoyed me, bro.
It was that deep to you.
Yeah.
And that's all that matters.
Hurt my feelings, man.
Yeah.
So obviously, as I said, I flew out to Toronto this past week, and flying there was a little rough. It wasn't bad for me.
Yeah.
It was bad for other people on my flight. But for me, it was okay. I mean, our flight got delayed like an hour and a half. Getting out of Halifax to Toronto was fine. This is who I felt bad for. We landed in Toronto an hour and a half after. And we're landed at like 1 a.m. Toronto time at this point.
Oh.
It was a little late.
No.
And the flight attendant gets on the intercom. It's like, hey, thank you so much for you landed in Toronto. If you are flying to Vancouver, Calgary, Edmonton, sorry, your connections are gone. You're going to have to find some housing tonight. But if you are flying to Regina, Winnipeg, or Burnaby, your flights are still here. So good luck. Get them. I was just like, gee, I ended up finding later talking to other people on my flight. One woman I was sitting next to, she was flying from Halifax. So she was flying from Newfoundland back to Vancouver. She got to Halifax. She was supposed to leave that morning. They canceled her flight that morning. And then she had to take this flight that was delayed. Then she missed her connection to get back out west. I was like, I felt so bad for this lady.
Wait, her flight got canceled in the morning in Halifax?
Yeah.
And then she left at midnight?
Yeah. Like, what a joke. Eh? Like, yeah, we have another flight for you.
Where do you stay that long? Later. You just walk around the airport?
That's what
you're in Enfield.
Yeah.
Where are you going?
Where are you going to go? 4 points.
Oh, dude, what a shame.
Yeah, it was pretty rough. So I was like, obviously I was like not happy because I wanted to get in a little earlier than I did. But I saw what was happening around me. I was like, I feel for him. On my way back, though, I had some problems. So Porter Airlines used to be the homies, used to be the people's airline. Well, if you live long enough, you become the villain.
True.
And that's what's happened with friggin' Porter, man. I flew back. They're getting too big for their britches. Obviously, they used to only fly out of the Island Airport in Toronto. Now they've started They've expanded to Pearson Airport.
Is that where you flew into?
That's where I flew out of. Flew out of Pearson.
Oh, I thought it was only Billy Bishop.
Yeah, that changed just recently.
Oh, they're grown up.
They are growing up. So grown up that they started interjecting some new class fares.
Ooh,
so
like the big boys.
Yeah, like the big boys. They still use the same old airplanes, but they got the big boys going here. So what happens is they still, obviously, they have the little carousel thing out front when you're trying to board, or so not board, when you're kind of checking in to make sure your suitcase fits into it.
Oh, yeah.
So, all right, can your suitcase fit in that? And Kelsey's like trying to jam the friggin' thing in. There's like, yeah, it's not going to fit. I was like, yeah, whatever. There's like, well, we have to charge you anyways for the carry-on. And I was like, sorry.
Say what?
I think you misheard me. I'm just saying we're not putting it underneath the plane. We're carrying it on with us. There's like, no, yeah, we heard you correctly. We're charging you for the carry-on. I was like, since when? There's like, well, you paid for the basic fare, so now you don't get an e-ticket and you got to pay for your carry-on. I was like, what's the other fare? Well, it was $50 more, but it was our business class. And then you get an e-ticket with it and you get a free carry-on. I was like,
Josh.
What?
No.
What's happening over here? So I was like, okay, well, that's annoying. So how much is my carry-on? I was like, oh, that'll be $75.
No.
Okay, exaggerated. It's 57, but 75 sounds better.
Still.
It's
still more than upgrading to business.
I was like, bro, what are you doing out here? So I had a carry-on. Kelsey had a carry-on. Cost us like $115.
And they had to print your ticket.
And they had to print my ticket like a bum.
You had the little slip.
Everyone knew in the airport. Oh, he's poor.
Yeah.
He got a printed ticket.
Yeah.
That's how I was like, gee.
There you go.
Oh man, that's what you get.
Yeah.
So anyways, we get in through security. At the same time, there was a little bit of levity to the situation. There's people around us who are leaving their loved ones and they're bawling their eyes out. There's this one girl who was leaving her mom, it seemed, and she was just crying through the security. I was like, I feel so bad for this lady. At least I'm not in that situation. At least I'm with the ones I love. But get out of the way. Put your belt off. You're setting off the metal detectors. Get out of my way, lady. But they took her hummus. This poor girl's crying, taking her hummus. They stole her hummus from her. I was like, yeah, because that's going to take down a plane.
Dude, they're on such power trips, dog. The rules are crazy.
It's nuts. I was like,
it's because the cafeteria upstairs wants to make $1 million off selling you like a sandwich.
Yeah.
That's why.
Exactly.
They work for the food companies upstairs.
Boom. Conspiracy theory.
Yeah.
That's what I'm here for.
Yep.
So anyways, we get through and they're like, hey, you're at gate B3. And I was like, okay. So I start walking. I was like, okay, well, arrow that way. All right. B3's this way. Okay, cool. Go down to B3. Oh, now you go down the stairs, these B3.
Oh, you were in the depth.
Dude.
Were you by the Booster Juice in that weird restaurant?
No.
Oh.
Further. I go down these stairs. I take a little catwalk for a while.
Yeah.
Up some stairs.
Yeah.
Keep walking. Up some more stairs. Bro, from security, I timed this. From security to my gate, it was a 13-minute walk.
Dude, I know where you were because that's where Flair Airlines put me and my granddad and my dad.
Dude, unreal time, wasn't it?
Only the Halifax flights go to there, like all the Atlantic and discount carriers.
The forgotten city out here.
Yeah, the forgotten city on the cheap, the broke planes.
The brokies out here.
Dude, so they charged you $57. Did they charge you for your ticket too? No.
No, it was part of the price.
You don't get to put it on your phone.
Yeah. Exactly.
Isn't it cheaper to not print a ticket?
Yeah, apparently.
Wait, that makes no sense. That's crazy.
It was cranked. Anyways, you get on the flight. Obviously, it's a super tight flight, but it was the worst flight I've been on, dude. We get on. Our flight took off at 11 o'clock Eastern time, p.m.
Dude, I'm never traveling with you. You pick crazy times.
Dude, I'm a wild boy.
What the heck? I like 7 a.m. flights.
It was Kelsey's fault, man.
Oh, I'm telling you
March break happened. And we had to get back by specific times, whatever. So anyways, you get on this flight, right? Obviously, people film the Porter. It's a very tight aircraft.
Yeah.
And you sit in the chair, and it felt like I was sitting on a steel plate. There was no cushion whatsoever. It was rough.
Yeah.
And then we take off. They turn off the lights. I was like, hey, man. I start falling asleep. We get stabilized in the air. Jokes. Lights are on, boys. And they kept the lights on the whole flight. And then to boot, the one thing that Porter has. Beautiful glassware to put your beer in.
That steam whistle, that cold steam whistle beer.
Woo-wee! We love that. And they said, no, we got eco cups for you.
It's the hotel coffee cup.
That's exactly what it looked like. I was like, bro, what's going on? We were, I guess I'm telling on myself at this point. We were 3 rows in the back at this point. They come back with the food, and Kelsey has this thing. She loves to they offer the chips or the cookies.
Yeah.
She always puts her like pretty blues on. I was like, can I have both, sir?
Right.
And there's like, yeah, we got you. They come by, 3 rows in the back.
So they're like done at this point.
They're done at this point. Chips or cookies? She's like, can I have both, sir? And there's like, we'll come back to you. We'll see what these others are saying. I'm like, bro, there's a plethora of cookies in this tray. There's only 6 people left behind us. What are you talking about? And he's like, we'll come back. 5 minutes later, do they come back? No.
They're stumping that tray right up to the front.
They're collecting all the trash, getting things. I was like, she was so cheesed. She was
Rightfully
uncomfortable.
so.
And it was, I was hot on this aircraft. And this girl, we had hit so much turbulence. This girl's clinging on me for dear life. And I was like, lady, your body is hot. And I mean temperature wise. Attractively, yeah, you are. But right now, your body is fuming right now. And get off me. I'm done. There was so much going on this flight. I couldn't be happier to land.
And those little stupid air conditioner pipes they give you do nothing.
They do nothing.
They do nothing.
I also refuse to turn those on.
Really?
Because I know. It's recycled air. You're just piping everyone's bacteria into your face.
Oh, I know.
So I'm just like, I'll suffer sweating bullets.
Oh.
But yeah, that's my story of the airlines.
Dude, glad you're back, man. It's over.
It's over. We're driving next time.
Yeah.
Just like Trudeau intended.
Dude, we literally said that out there. It's like it's what they want.
Dude, they do. They do.
So that way they can fly their private jets and destroy the earth.
Oh, exactly.
And it's us on commercial flights that are tearing it down, man. Yes. Are you making a call?
Dude, of course.
What's going on?
Hi.
Hey, you're on the show. You want to talk about something?
No.
I just called you hot on air. Are you okay with that?
Why?
Because you were physically on fire while we were on the plane, and I was boiling with you literally hugging me.
Oh my gosh, stop it.
Is this awkward for you?
Yeah.
Good, I'm glad. So are the thousands and thousands of people listening to the show. So we love you. They get to hear your voice.
Love you too.
All right. Mwah. Bye-bye.
Mwah. Bye.
Bro, you just did her so dirty.
Yeah. That's what you get for being married to me.
That's what you get for boiling on the flight.
Yeah. That's my payback. But anyways, yeah. And then, yeah, don't even get me started on the Irish pub in the friggin' airport. That was rough, too.
Irish pub. One
Dude.
that we have to get started on.
I was just trying to get a drink.
Halifax Airport or?
Toronto or Pearson.
Okay.
Stopped at this pub because we knew we were there a little early.
Uh-huh.
Literally, waitress comes. We were there for an hour and a half, dude. Waitress came once, gave me one drink. I was like, bro, I was going to order two. Never came
Like
once.
I'm flying, I'm not driving.
Literally. Seriously, when she came back, I was like, she totaled the bill. We spent $15 at an airport bar. And I was like, do you know what I did? I said no tip. And it's going to say $15. That's crazy. I never saw you the whole night. You just kind of dodged us. I was like,
Like,
bro.
isn't the point of a bar to feed them liquor?
Yeah.
Like, just until they can no longer drink, keep selling them drinks.
That's literally apparently.
That's a bar.
That's literally the business strategy. So I don't know. It was a crazy time.
Dude, I don't know what restaurant it was, but we were in Pearson. We went into what I think was an Irish bar. It was near Booster Juice. I remember that.
Yep.
And we went in and we were like, yeah, like, are you guys doing breakfast? And they said, yeah, sit down. We sat down. They were like, you guys actually can only order drinks. The kitchen's on fire. Bruh, the whole kitchen caught on fire. You could see the smoke pouring out. You know where the tickets are, where they like hang the tickets in the plates? It was like black smoke falling out in the middle of the airport.
No.
And I was like, I don't want beer for breakfast,
Yeah.
so I'll just go to Booster Juice.
Get that kale smoothie.
Yeah, I was like, okay.
Gee.
The airports are a mess, man.
Yeah.
They want us to drive.
They do.
So what are we supposed to do? But drive.
Get your CBDC and start driving.
Yeah, man, we're going to soon buy electric vehicles with CBDC loans. What is a loan now? It's like more, like what is it now? Yeah.
That's a good question.
Jeez.
What's going to happen? I don't know.
The tax credits.
We
for
literally could go
e-vehicles
another
are gonna be
hour at this point.
Dude, we just keep talking about random stuff.
Dude.
We haven't done an off the dome episode in forever.
Dude. And we came in hot to this episode.
We're talking about everything.
We really did. And I would go along with you, but I got to get to bed.
Fair play, dog.
I'll be honest.
I don't know how I have so much energy, but
Dude, yeah, you're on fire tonight, dog.
yeah, I don't know.
Oh, dude, I love you, man.
Thanks, bro.
Thanks for coming, Philip. Appreciate you having you.
Yeah, I've just been here listening all day. It's been good.
He's been thinking more about this AI.
Dude, that was a good episode too, though.
Good episode, y'all.
Yeah, that was fun.
Yeah.
I mean, we even got into some stuff about like fake news and whatnot. We didn't cover it, but we thought it was funny if we could get your topic on it of getting AI to catch fake news.
Oh, yeah, no chance.
Oh, you don't think?
No way.
Huh?
AI itself is fake news.
Oh my gosh.
Straight up. Oh, we saw this happen with ChatGPT.
Yeah,
Had
okay.
a left-leaning bias and all this.
that is fair.
Can't
At
trust
this time,
Yeah.
that's fair play.
Anyways,
Good stuff, though.
that was a good.
Good
question.
episode, man.
Dang good episode, man. So whatever it is you're doing, whether you be flying to Toronto,
Or exchanging your cash for CBDC.
Or buying Bitcoin.
whatever it is you're doing,
Wherever you are,
we love you.
we're out.
Vote Trudeau out.